Hello and welcome to the Innovator Series. I'm Wain. Today I'm with Billy Boyle. Billy is the founder of Owlstone, who have created a breathalyser for COVID-19 detection. Billy, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the breathalyser and how it might apply in the world of COVID-19?
We've developed a technology called breath biopsy. And the basic principle is to try and look at different biomarkers on breath for different diseases. So obviously with the COVID pandemic, one of the things that's become really clear is the main transmission mechanism for the virus is through droplets on breath. So we've kind of pivoted the organization to try and adapt the technology to see whether or not we can use it to try and pick up the virus and detect directly from these droplets on breath.
So would this be a replacement for, say, a deep nasal swab?
I think one of the problems with the swab itself is that you need a healthcare provider to collect the sample. You don't always get the right amount of sample. If you're able to collect respiratory droplets on breath, first thing is, it's obviously very non-invasive, but also you don't need a healthcare provider to do that. So if you think about how you can try and roll testing out into the community, into care home type settings where you don't need specialists, I think breath-based sampling to replace the swab itself, but analyzed with PCR is a very interesting thing to consider.
Fantastic. So where are you at on your validation journey then?
So we've got clinical trials running at the moment. So we have different devices that can capture these respiratory droplets on breath. So the goal is to try and say, can you efficiently recover virus from these droplets? So at the moment we're running a study in Cambridge, Amsterdam, and Maastricht, both with clinical samples of patients that do have COVID, but also generating synthetic standards as well. So trying to determine in the lab whether or not you can collect and detect these respiratory droplets. So that is mid-trial. The interesting thing at the moment is obviously as the case numbers is decreasing, which is great, from the standpoint of the pandemic. It does mean it's going to take longer to complete those studies though.
So what are your times? When do you think you might have this breathalyser ready to go to market?
The nice thing is the breath collection devices themselves exist today. So they're ready to go today. So it's more about, how well do they work specifically in COVID-19. So I think the key initial step in the clinical trial is to say, can you recover enough virus from that sample? Can you detect it efficiently with the PCR as well? So our hope is that we will get the readout from those trials within the next month or so. Okay. So if, obviously we all hope that, the pandemic is coming under control, but if there is, additional secondary outbreaks or a bit of a resurgence later in the year, our goal would be to try and have some of these breath collection devices ready to go by then.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like it could be a key part of a mass testing strategy.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you've got a lot of infrastructure and capacity in place with the PCR-based instruments. So I think if you can remove some of those pinch points of needing healthcare providers to collect a sample, if you can start to deploy the sample collection, as I say, into some of these high-risk environments like nursing homes, I think it could really help the overall strategy of test.
And have you interacted with the UK government on this in terms of bringing it into the UK testing system?
So at the moment, it is all about getting the data that demonstrates the utility of it. So we've been very much focused on that with the clinical partners. And I think, if it looks good from that standpoint, that's the point at which you can start to consider, can you replace a swab with the breath collection device?
And so assuming all goes well, it's validated, you're happy with the results and data coming back, and the government says, fantastic, let's go. How many of these could you make? We
can scale up very, very quickly on that. So again, the great thing about these devices is that they exist already. They're already very low cost. They're single-use type devices. So I think as soon as we have that data in place, the actual scale up would be very, very quick indeed.
Thank you so much for your time today. The breathalyser sounds like a fantastic product and will be a key part of any mass testing strategy. Best of luck moving forward. Hope all goes well with the validation, and we look forward to hearing more from you.